All right, we've got a couple more people just logging in. We will actually record this presentation as well. So typically we do email this out to all of our database as well. Some people do prefer to see just check in with the recording. So yeah, look, we'll crack on and give you a little bit of time at the end to have a bit of Q&A as well. So if anyone wants to ask any questions or run through anything, then I'll be here for another sort of half an hour at the end. Yeah, so it's a roughly sort of 30-minute presentation. Typically, we'd actually be up in the UK doing this, which is obviously a bit of a shame, but we've done this for the last couple of years. And also we've been up in the UK, we've been doing this probably for about the last 5 years in total. So yeah, certainly has been a really good, successful campaign for us to help Kiwis get back on the ground. So mostly, I think the people that within our sort of contacts and network are all within the UK, but as I know, we do have people logging in from all over the world, and certainly a few from Australia as well. So our job with this, webinar is really just to share with you what's happening on the ground here in New Zealand. Obviously, you've got family and friends here, I know, but at the same time, from a recruitment perspective and what's happening in the jobs market is really what we want to share with you today. So yeah, like I say, we'll have about 30 minutes of presentation, and then we will get into Q&A at the end. All right, so just very quickly, who is Eighty4 Recruitment? This is my lovely bunch team, or most of them at least. We've hired a few new people since this photo was taken, but we've been around since 2013, and then before that, I was actually in the UK recruiting from 2006 until sort of 2011. So did my time over in London as well, and our team's now grown to we're about 16 strong, and we cover a variety of different disciplines. Obviously, get into that shortly, but yeah, something I'm really passionate about obviously is not just our team growing, because obviously growing our clients' businesses. So empowering you to grow is really what I sort of stand for. So we've had some awesome success over the last 8 years that we've been in business, but yeah, as I say, the demand for good people at the moment could not be stronger, and I've never seen a market like this, not here in New Zealand or in the UK. So certainly a very exciting time. Predominantly, we build relationships with decision makers as well. We're not typically working with HR departments. We're usually talking with people about opportunities which have not even yet been advertised. So again, it's something we're really proud of, that we've got the strongest relationships with the people who are actually making those decisions. So we've got basically a very strong leadership team with these lovely 6 people, and me included. But I guess the key thing after this is we're going to assign you basically a consultant, and each manager, has their specific team. So Rob Sellers is basically our civil construction guru. We've got Ben Lapworth, who's on the consulting and engineering side of things, and Hannah Elson, who is heading up our professional services. So anything sales, marketing, professional, business support, and also we're setting up a pretty fast growing temp desk as well. So if you know anyone in the sort of admin PA, EA space, then I'd love to hear from those people as well. So yeah, a very strong team, and Mairead and Brooke, who's also logged into this call, has pulled all of this together. So thanks to those guys as well. So just to give you a quick snapshot, I guess, on the market itself, I'll just run through a few sort of bullet points, I guess, and at the same time tease you with some photos of the beautiful rangitoto and the summer that we're embarking on. But look, the interesting thing is we're having record numbers of Seek adverts, and Seek being our predominant job board here in New Zealand, but across the board on all job boards, we're seeing a huge increase in the amount of jobs that are advertised. So in some cases up 50% on what it would be pre-COVID. But the interesting stat that all of us are pretty shocked and finding it very difficult, any employers finding it very difficult, that actually the responses to those adverts is down 37% in the last month. So there's a massive disparity between the amount of jobs that are available and the amount of people that we have in order to be able to do those jobs. So that's what's really causing over this last 18 months this huge demand for skilled people. Not to mention also that we've got a border very well closed, and that's certainly put an extra pressure on labour across the board, and that's whether you're talking at the lowest level, right at the highest level, we're not getting any new talent into the market. So more or less, we're just circulating what we've got within New Zealand, and then the odd returning Kiwi, which is coming home. And obviously, up today, we want more. So it's something to think about. It's certainly never been a better time. We're certainly seeing the record low unemployment, having a really massive impact on business. There's a lot of good things coming out of it in terms of salary rises and things like that, but it's putting incredible strain on businesses and individuals as well. So the international market itself is also very, very hot, and it's a similar problem I know in the UK and Europe and certainly Australia. So the skill shortage, globally was a big issue before we even came into this. So for home countries now, this is making it very, very hard to do business. We're seeing exceptional growth in the region. So if anyone's thinking about getting out to any of the regions, certainly Napier, Tauranga, Hamilton, Queenstown in the South Island, Nelson, we're seeing incredible growth across the board, and that's all sectors. There's demand absolutely everywhere. So salaries are really starting to catch up to the major cities. So yeah, again, never been a better time to be considering the regions, again, with a lot cheaper housing. Inflation is certainly on our radar, and it's rising quite quickly. Hence, for the Reserve Bank increasing our interest rates, which I think is a good thing, just to minimise ideally that inflationary figure. I know it's an issue again everywhere in the world because of the amount of stimulus that we've pumped into the economy, but at the same time, I think it's a sensible move to increase our interest rates now and hopefully keep things at bay. Obviously, there's more opportunities now than we've ever seen, and I think that's what's also coming with that. The demand from employers has never been so high. I mean, it's just incredible across the board, and we're not talking kind of a couple of vacancies here or there. We've got clients which are looking for 20, 30 people, up to some of our biggest contracting firms with 400 to 500 vacancies. So we're incredibly short on talent right now, and productivity is feeling that effect. So those opportunities are certainly more flexible than ever. I think people are finding some incredible opportunities that they probably wouldn't have 2 years ago, with some real flexible options, i.e. work from home or not even needing to be in the office, right through into actually just family friendly roles, which I think people are starting to pick up that this is important to people's livelihoods. And just recently, I don't know if anyone did see, but we've got a new opposition political party leader, which I think will stir things up from a political basis, which I think we needed, and that is Chris Luxon, the former CEO of New Zealand. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds over the coming years. Look, we've got an indicative sort of salaries average here. Obviously, I'm not going to go through this line by line, but I'll quickly just have a very quick talk about it. I guess we've seen an increase of somewhere in the vicinity between 10 and 15% across the board in our experience. In a recent sort of ACE, which is the Consulting Engineers report, there was an uplift in the last 12 months of across the board about 6%. However, I expect that figure to grow over this next 12 months. So I think 70% of organisations are really looking to pay a premium, and will pay a premium, is what came out in the survey, in order to attract and retain good talent. So again, I think probably the most exciting out of all of this is, I think, the intermediate bracket. I think those are the people that predominantly companies are looking for, people that they can mould and grow but have enough experience to be productive. Those people, I think, are in the highest demand. That being said, at the top end of the market, in the kind of 170 to sort of 200k bracket for principals and GM level roles, there's some really amazing equity path options, shareholding opportunities. Businesses growing considerably, so retention is probably their number one focus. So yeah, I think as you can see across the board, we're certainly catching up to the rest of the world. I think salaries are becoming more comparable to the Australian market. I think Australia will always be slightly ahead of us, but then again, their cost of living is also sort of matched with that. So if anyone wants any more detail specifically about any of those properties or salaries or what you think would be worth, then certainly let us know. And I've just got another one here just around sort of more the professional services side of things, the finance accounting space, the APA admin, etc. Again, we're just seeing these climb up nicely, which I think is it's about time in many ways. So we certainly cover those specialist roles across all sectors. So I'll just go through quickly just the cost of living. I think, as I say, one of our team, Brooke, has managed to just pull together some good, clean examples of kind of the most important things: beer, main meal, and fitness. I think they all go hand in hand. But I think the comparables are becoming closer to certainly what I remember when I was in the UK, which is a hell of a long time ago now. But 10 years ago, things were very different. So yeah, I think it's becoming more and more, comparable. And I think there's a lot of media out there about how expensive New Zealand is. And yes, I think we're up there, but I certainly don't think it's too far different. And there's certainly a lot of the parts of that equation which are actually more cost effective here in New Zealand. So with salaries rising quite quickly, I think we're balancing that out, quite nicely. So again, if anyone wants any more sort of specific conversation on that, then please sing out and let us know. But predominantly the people we have placed in the last few months that have come back from abroad, in many ways have been sort of pleasantly surprised, which is good to see. And obviously we're still in a relatively low interest rate environment. So to getting on the housing ladder, we've actually seen in the last couple of months that the housing market is starting to cool. So again, if there was a time that you were thinking about coming home, getting into the housing market, we're certainly seeing, I think there's a 5% increase on housing stock coming on the market. So never been a better time, to buy. We've got this graph here, which we came across online, which I think again just gives you an indication of kind of the quality of living versus the cost of living. And I think Auckland really still, it should be reminded, and people should remember that Auckland is still providing a very attractive place to live and a high quality of living against the cost of living. So certainly in some cases I believe actually a better quality of living and absolutely a lower cost than many, including London. So for the people that are in London and hearing this, then I think it's up to be be wary about. Our average rent price, again, here's just a few examples. Again, I think it's specific depending on where you want to be based in New Zealand, but I certainly see that whilst the rental market has been going up somewhat, I think it is comparable, especially for what you get here. My sister-in-law actually just moved back from the UK and can't believe the kind of house that she can get here. She's looking at renting her own 3-bedroom house, which she doesn't really need, but she's looking forward to the space, and comparable to what she was living in the UK. It just doesn't even compare. So it certainly has a lot of appeal in that perspective. I think there's just a lot of media attention around the costs here in New Zealand, but I think that's a problem in any sort of top 10 city around the world, to be honest. So I'm just going to rip through quickly just some of our clients that we work with. Some of them you may or may not know from being or working here before, but we've got a real range of clients, predominantly more in the SME space. So whilst we do have a number of tier 1 businesses we work with, i.e. Fletcher, Higgins, we do quite a bit with Downer, Watercare, Stantec, for example. Predominantly our business has more been focused around the kind of the small to medium enterprise. We find them a lot, certainly got a lot of amazing opportunities and growing incredibly fast, but a lot easier to deal with. So a lot, as I say, a lot of these consulting businesses, construction companies, and the likes have certainly come from more humble beginnings, which are in fast growth mode. So the other thing I wanted to mention is there's a few new names in there, Maven, for example, and these businesses have popped out of nowhere, which and certainly the land development space, for example, doing incredibly well. These guys, Maven, for example, have only been around for about 5 years and now up to about 100 staff across about 7 or 8 locations across New Zealand. So there's some really exciting dynamic businesses which are growing incredibly fast. And again, they're looking for those worldly people that have got a bit of international experience. So if you want to hear more about what some of those exciting companies are, then certainly get in touch with us. You might recognize some of these, but if you don't, certainly get in touch. So a real spread Again, we're getting into kind of the more the financial world with the companies like Millery, Forsyth, and again into more the corporate world, the likes of Spark, ASB, Bank of China. So yeah, some really, really exciting opportunities. I don't think there's anyone that I've spoken to in the last 12 months that isn't looking for staff. It's a very strange place to be for a recruiter, where predominantly we're looking for work, but in the last 12 to 18 months, it's like our phone hasn't stopped ringing in order to be asking us to work for them. And so it's quite a different environment, and one that we have to pinch ourselves every now and then, because it's it's an incredibly hot market. So very exciting. So I'm just going to go through a couple of the sort of key projects, I guess, that we've heavily been recruiting for, and the subsidiaries within those. One of the ones you might have heard, which is the old Housing New Zealand, now rebranded as Aotearoa, which is homes and communities. Now that's a redevelopment program over the course of predominantly Auckland, but their reach now is going into all the regions, and that's around about a $10 billion project over about the next 10 years. And so basically they're going into all of the old housing estates and redeveloping them from scratch. So complete urban regeneration, and some amazing communities being built, but some huge amount of work, certainly not just for the construction folk, but certainly in the planning, the consulting, the legal side of things. So yeah, there's some incredible work there. But if you've got any interest in kind of giving back and being involved in rebuilding our communities, then certainly some of the Aotearoa projects are incredibly exciting. There's a couple of alliances scattered across the country which are responsible for the design and the construct of those projects. So yeah, that's one that we're pretty passionate about supporting. I think it's got it's got a good purpose, and it's great to see us finally getting on top of improving our housing stock, especially for those in need. City Rail Link, which obviously I'm sure you've heard about, it has no comparison to most tunnels around the world, let's be honest, but it is a big one for us. I think that budget's now blown out to about 4.4 billion, population's around 2024. Look, they're always looking for good people, especially in the sort of MEP space, certainly in tunnelling. I know there's a lot of people coming off Crossrail, etc. So if you're interested in anything around the tunnelling industry, then certainly CRL has some very, very exciting opportunities. We've placed quite a number of people into that. Another one is the Eastern Busway project in Auckland, which again, completion for about 2026, and that's around the sort of Panmure, Pakuranga, Botany region. There's 3 stations there. There's huge investment going in, by the way, now across New Zealand, for improving our cycleways as well. So that's great to see. I still feel that we need a lot more projects, brought online, and I think we will. In saying that, we're still obviously sort of getting out of this pandemic. Another one that's almost, I think, being signed, which is the Canterbury Arena. I think they're just squabbling over the last sort of 20 odd million and who's going to pay for it for some extra seats, which I think is ridiculous, but that's bureaucracy for you. But that's going to be an amazing stadium, and certainly the planning, the design stages, and the final throws. So that's going to be a really, really exciting project for Christchurch. Certainly a lot of people we know are getting involved in it, which is amazing. Another one that we've been sort of semi-involved with, which is the Dunedin Hospital. Again, it's very much in the early sort of design stages, but that is basically our particular at the moment. It's a large project, obviously, for Dunedin. It's going to be about 1.4 billion, and they'll be regenerating that whole area from scratch. So yeah, it's going to be a huge boost for Dunedin, which I think they need, and exciting project if you wanted to be based down that way. Not far to Queenstown, obviously. And the Takatimu North Link, which is Taonga to Aotearoa, which is 655 million. Again, it's these are quite substantial projects in New Zealand terms, but the exciting thing is, I guess, that you can be based in the regions and still be working on some rather large projects in New Zealand standards. So yeah, if you're interested in something around Taonga, then in a roading project down there, then by all means. Just ripping through, I mean, we've got Aotearoa North. Again, that's a massive expressway. It's going to be about 1.5 billion. But again, if you want to be based down in Levin and you're involved in the roading sector, then certainly let us know. But I guess, these major projects, it's not to say that everything we're recruiting for is purely within infrastructure and construction, but off the back of that comes a lot more opportunity for all of our other clients, whether that be in the financial space or, sales marketing. There's so much investment into those regions. It's creating a lot of opportunity across the board. So I think that's where it all trickles down from, but I certainly just wanted to sort of raise a few of the larger projects to give you an insight to what's happening. Obviously, you've probably read a little bit about this, but the MIQ system is finally going to be scrapped, which I think is couldn't come quick enough. But from 14th of February, which is Valentine's Day, we will no longer need to go into MIQ. So yeah, New Zealand, obviously citizens, residents initially, and I believe visa and residents, I believe there is plans in place for and welcoming them in after, I believe, April. But from February, there will be no MIQ. So exciting to see that finally come to fruition. I think we need to do that even quicker. I think we should be doing it this side of Christmas. But anyway, I don't make the rules. And so, yeah, I guess, having to self-isolate for 7 days is a lot more palatable when considering coming home. And I can understand the frustration of people that have been caught up in the whole MIQ mess. It's been an absolute debacle. So it's good to see we're moving in the right direction. I think 22 is certainly us returning back to some sort of normality. So New Zealand vaccination rates, you've probably seen it, but just a latest update on that. We're up to 85% of the eligible population are double vaccinated now. So that's 92.4% also that have had their first dose. So I expect we're going to get something close to that 90, which is great. My vaccine pass is now available, which we'll be able to use as of Friday, I believe, when we open up and we hit the traffic light system on the 3rd. So yeah, everyone's very, very excited to be able to return back to the bars and hospitality venues. I know we're looking forward to it. So the traffic light system, you've probably maybe had a look at this, maybe not, maybe you understand it, maybe you don't, like the rest of us. It's certainly been pretty confusing, but I think we're starting to get our head around it. Quite simply, I think read is basically that there is a high risk of hospitalization rates being sort of unsustainable. However, once we get to orange, life pretty much does return to normal for the vaccinated, which I believe is quite similar to what obviously is in the UK. So yeah, no limits on gatherings and events at orange level. So yeah, expecting that we possibly may get to that before Christmas at this stage. So yeah, I think after 3 months of lockdown, which us Aucklanders have been, it's something we're very much looking forward to. I don't even want to think or talk about Omicron or whatever that new variant is, but I'm putting that out of my mind. Hopefully that's just going to all blow over as well, like the other variants. So that's, yeah, just a little bit about, I guess, the traffic light system and what we understand it to be. Yeah, as I say, I think we're pretty close to, to orange. We've got 200 cases a day at the moment, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things compared to the rest of the world. So I'm feeling fairly confident that is happening. So I guess, yeah, look, why work with 84? Look, we've got exceptional relationships, I guess, is the key thing that we are incredibly proud of. And again, with those hiring managers, not necessarily with HR departments. So the process can be a lot smoother. We can also get you in, to confidential discussions with, hiring managers before you've even decided, potentially to actually apply for a position. So if you did want to just sort of tip your toe in, then we're absolutely keen to be able to facilitate those, confidential discussions. We get exclusive opportunities, obviously, out of that aren't advertised, and you're being able to, bypass that application process. And we know that can be really, really slow and cumbersome sometimes. So we're here to push things along as quick as we can. But more importantly, listening to, your needs and exactly what you're after. So that's really critical to us, is that we're going to put you into a business which suits your culture, personality, and what you're looking to gain. We've been nominated for a few awards this year, so we're not doing too bad, which has been cool. And so yes, our relocation and incentive scheme, which obviously our biggest challenge at the moment, honestly, from a recruitment perspective and representing our clients, is that we just don't simply have enough people. We don't have enough talent. So we're trying to think of creative ways that we can, bring obviously Kiwis home, but equally, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We want some New Zealanders to seriously consider this being an attractive place to be right now. So yeah, we're incentivizing that to get you across the line and come with 84, and that's $1,500 towards your relocation. And also, if you can refer anyone else, it's also going to come. So it might be your partner, friend, or otherwise. There'll be another $500 for you as well. And also, that person will receive the $1,500. So yeah, we've tried to sweeten up the deal to come with us. The war for talent is absolutely rife at the moment. It certainly is a crazy market that we're in, but I mean, my phone probably rings 3-4 times a day from business owners asking me to help them. So there is absolute desperation. So there's never been kind of a better time to come back. So the next steps are, obviously you're now part of our community, and this recording will go out to our entire database. I know we've had a few people that couldn't make it this morning, but we will obviously get this out to everybody, and we will assign you a consultant. So somebody will be in touch to reach out and see what does your timeline look like and how can we sort of support that. And it doesn't matter if you're not looking to come immediately. Obviously, we want to stay in touch for the future as well. So even if it's not in the next couple of months, or not aiming to obviously get here before Christmas, or you don't have an MIQ spot, even if it's towards the end of next year, we certainly want to stay in touch. We want to hear from you. We want to be be the ones to transition you. Also, something just to mention, we've managed to wrangle quite a few really nice relocation packages as well from key employers. So we know those ones that'll really support you both financially and with a lot of assistance to make it a smooth transition home. So obviously, yeah, having a discussion with the consultant about your timeline. And then if you are keen and you're looking to progress things quite quickly, you've got a sort of date in mind, then we can actually lock in jobs and or interviews certainly before we've even arrived. We've got quite a few people in recent months which have signed contracts before they've even arrived, just so they've got a smooth, easy transition back into New Zealand. So that's about it from me. I'm going to just open up now to give some questions, but yeah, I think the one thing to remember is just that New Zealand certainly, whilst it gets a bit of a bad rap for some things, I think having relocated back here myself now 10 years ago, which seems crazy, it's a lifestyle like no other, as we all know, and there's so many good things about this place. And so yeah, I don't think it's ever been as, I guess, lucrative to be looking for a new job. We're seeing people getting 20, 30, 40% increase on their salaries at the moment. It's certainly making it a lot more palatable. That, and obviously with the housing market starting to cool, I think it's again, timing is probably quite good. If anyone was considering, then 2022 would be a really, really good time to come home. So look, I guess stay safe wherever you are in the world, and hopefully you're enjoying your soon-to-be Christmas festivities. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming along today. If anyone does want to stay and just ask a few questions, I'm going to unmute, or just raise your hand and I'll unmute it now. Otherwise, thank you very much.